Hi, and welcome to episode 9 of my hardcore core keeper run on standard difficulty. In today's episode, we're going to be taking on some of the next bosses, and I'll show you what I've done with the base and my equipment, because after defeating the bosses in the last episode, we've unlocked quite a lot more to do. So if I show you the map, in the last episode we were in the Desert of Beginnings and we defeated, let me see if I can remember the names off the top of my head, Igneous the Molten Mass. So we defeated the next slime boss around here. That's an optional boss, so it doesn't help with story progression. The main boss we defeated after that in this arena here was Rutakar, the Sand Titan, and that then gave us the third Titan Soul. And I spoke to the core, so whenever you see this exclamation mark on the map, that's sort of the next story objective. So I spoke to the core and it has signposted me to a new biome which runs all the way around the outside of what we've explored so far, and this biome is called the Shimmering Frontier. So if you, the way I sort of imagine the map, you've got the inner circle which has the starting biome, the dirt biome. You've got the clay caves and the Forgotten Ruins, which make a kind of pokeball shape around it. Then you've got the three outer biomes, the Sunken Sea, the Wilderness, and the Desert Beginnings. And then all the way around the outside, and it's quite a narrow strip, a narrow blue strip, is the Shimmering Frontier. So we'll do a little bit of exploration in the Shimmering Frontier. I have explored a bit already because I've got the resources to summon the next bosses. And the Shimmering Frontier is different to the other biomes in that it doesn't have a specific boss, but what it does have is, in fact, I'll go back to the waypoint. It does have the summoning items for the next three bosses, which are also titans. So we've got Druidra, the wild titan, and they spawn in the wilderness area. And as you can see, I've made the scanner and they kind of roam around. The boss after that is Crydra, the ice titan, who wanders around the Sunken Sea. You can see their marker here. And then the sixth titan boss is pyrdra, or pyrdra, I think it's pyrdra, that's how I say it anyway. Pyrdra, the fire titan, and they roam around the desert area, as you can see here. And each of them has a summoning item. So I've made the first one, the Wind Organ of Wilderness. So if I go to the wilderness, which is what we're going to do shortly, I've made an arena, and if I place down the summoning item and druidra is close enough, then they will charge towards us and then we can fight them. This music's quite quite upbeat, and once we've killed druidra, we can then summon crydra using the item dropped from the previous titan boss. And then we can do the same thing with the third titan boss. So I don't know if we'll kill all three in this episode. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's do a little bit of exploring of the Shimmering Frontier so I can show you what's here. after the episode last week, I gathered the materials to craft the Soul Seeker, which is a legendary pickaxe. And the amazing thing about legendary items in this game is that they have infinite durability, so I never have to worry about repairing this. And then I went ahead and upgraded it to level 18. The other main thing I did, I would say, is I spent quite a bit of time fishing in the shimmering water, and I fished up the ninja set, because the ninja set has a dodge chance on it. And we are now, if you look at my stats, we now have baseline 80% dodge chance. The highest you can get in the game is 90%, so even if you pumped it up to 150, 200%, I'm not sure how that would work, but the game hard caps you at 90%, and we're going to get the final 10% from this item here, this food, the rare golden oat cereal, which gives us 14% dodge chance. So that means we're going to be really hard to hit, and even when we do get hit, we still have somewhat of a decent health pool and armor boost, so fingers crossed we are going to be quite difficult to kill, which is nice for hardcore. Having said that, I did nearly die off camera last week. I got ambushed down a corridor and I ran the wrong way, so I got trapped. And it was, I think I got down to 50 health, something like that, so pretty scary stuff. So that enemy you just saw there is one of the main enemies in the Shimmering Frontier. It's kind of like a sentry robot, and when you first find them, they put a shield around themselves and they are immune to damage, so you kind of have to wait them out a bit. And then they shoot a sort of Gatling laser beam turret at you. There you go, here's one. So as you'll see, as soon as we get within range, it'll go immune, shoot us. This is the other type of enemy. I believe those are called Mimites. And these things here are radiation crystals, which are used in crafting, and when you get close enough you start taking radioactive damage. And we just hit 85 mining, so let's get another point in archaeologist, which means every time we mine up a wall we have a very small chance of getting a valuable item. So that's just going to help us get more and more money. And there are a couple of useful items as well for a mining set, but we'll I'll talk more about my mining setup when we reach the area after the Shimmering Frontier, which is the penultimate area in the game, because that requires really high mining. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So these Mimites are quite useful because they drop crafting materials, which we really need to upgrade our gear. And that's probably not a great place to stop and explain stuff. Die from radiation damage. The ore that we can get from the Shimmering Frontier is called solarite ore, and I need a lot of solarite ore because it costs quite a lot to upgrade my gear now. So these Mimite enemies kind of blend into the area, but they die pretty easily. So that little green, not green, that little sort of energy triangle we got is coming from us. That's the bonus we got from killing the last boss in the previous episode, the Soul of Ratakar. So every time we have a hit, we have a 5% chance to spawn one of those energy triangles. And they hit quite hard. So yeah, that is the Shimmering Frontier. You will also see these enormous roaming snails with solarite shells on them, and you can mine those. I was hoping we'd bump into one so I could show you. Maybe just see if there's one up here. I think you can hit them about 10 times and then they lose their solarite shell and they have a sort of regular shell. And once they've lost their solarite shell, they are vulnerable to damage, so if you're not careful, you can accidentally kill them. Alright, no luck with the giant snail, so we're going to head back to base and get ready for fighting. I want to say 2 bosses probably, maybe 3. But the other additional boss that we can fight now as well is called the Atlantean worm. So we've killed these bosses, so the Hive Mother, Ivy the poisonous mass, Morpha the aquatic mass, Igneous the molten mass, so those are all the slime bosses and the Hive Mother. And then the Atlantean worm is another additional boss. The game calls them remnants. And it will kind of make sense why they're called remnants later when we discover a bit more of the story. Wallkeeper doesn't have a huge sort of lore to it, but it's got a fairly simple, cool backstory to it. Okay, so most of my inventory is taken up with food and gear I've got ready for these fights. So we are ready to go and take on our next boss, and thankfully she's pretty close. So this is a portal that I made, and the reason, nothing fancy to it, the reason why I put my arena here is because when you put the summoning item down, the Titan has to be quite close. Or fairly close. And if they're too far away, it won't work. So I put a portal down. They're quite expensive to make. They cost a lot of materials. But I've just made a very standard kind of open arena. The tactics for this boss fight. So each of the Titan bosses has a similar ability set up with a few additional bits. So the main attack that they do that you've got to be careful of is a huge AoE sort of scream that will either one-shot you or very nearly one-shot you. And so when that happens, we've got to hide behind the pillars that fall down. And then there's a beam attack that we have to try and dodge, and that's and then this one summons an ad, so we're gonna eat up, and I'll show you the fight. Imagine my character will be pretty full after eating all of this. We've got the wind organ, so we're going to put it down. And because I was talking for too long, the boss has moved away. Let me see if putting it here. Nope. So yeah, if I'd been quicker, we could have fought straight away. So she will kind of roam to this edge of the map, of the area, and then she'll path back. So because my arena is here, it's a bit too far away at the moment. But she's turning around, so it won't be long. So I'll show you my gear setup. I've upgraded my... Oh, that was close. That's the wrong set. That's the set I was using before, the Ranger set. So the ranger set is still really good for open world stuff because of the collateral piercing ability. But for bosses, when there's just one enemy, we're going to be using the ninja set because it gets us to, yeah, the maximum 90% dodge chance with our food buffs. Both my rings are white glass rings because they give dodge chance. My offhand is now a caveling ID, which gives dodge chance. I was using a dodge necklace until I upgraded my gear, because now I can afford to use the huge boost to physical damage necklace because I've got enough dodge chance without it. And my weapon is the trusty iron bow. I did use some of the other weapons in the game, but I found that the old reliable that we get really early on and just upgraded it is my favourite. So, all right, she should be close enough now. So let's fight our next boss, Druidra, the Wild Titan. So once you put the item down, she will start making her way towards us, kind of charging, and here we go. And the music will change in a moment. Here she comes. And the way each of these Titan bosses work is they have a sort of yellow armor bar, and then the grey bar is their health. And once you take out a quarter of their... Oh, sorry, once you take out the armor bar, you can do a quarter of their health at a time. So it stops you sort of one-shotting them, really. So that's the big screen. They drop down some blocks. But our gear is pretty good, so and we've got good buffs as well, so we're shredding through this. There you go, there's the huge ability. So you stand behind one of the blocks. So she's summoning an ad, so we can take care of that ad pretty quickly. In fact, it didn't even spawn because we killed it straight away. Oh, our pet has just reached level 10. There we go. So whenever you defeat a Titan boss, you gain, or you absorb its soul, you gain a little benefit. So we now have the fourth one, which gives us a flat 10% health. So that's pretty nice. Gear-wise, jungle emeralds are amazing because they are what we use to upgrade our gear. We'll use that scanner. Pink Hydra Eye is the summoning item for the next boss. Druidra's Ring is really nice if you're doing a poison build, which we're not, so we're going to scrap that. Lots of solarite ore, which is good. Arcane Monk is a magic set, and we got a second ring, so not too bad. So we're immediately going to head over to the shrine here. And we're going to craft... Hey, there's one of the snails. So every time you mine it, you get some ore, and I think you hit it 10 times, and then it loses its shell. And for science, I'll show you... There you go, you can damage it now, but I try not to kill them because I quite like them. So now that we have the pink Hydra Eye, we can make the next summoning item. So I'm just going to go to... So I have used the Atlantean worm scanner as well, and I do have the bait pillar, which you buy from a merchant, and it just costs a lot of coins. So that will summon the Atlantean worm. We're not going to fight them just yet. We're going to fight the Ice Titan next. You can fight this one on land if you build on an island or make an arena there, but I quite like to fight this one in the boat. So we are going to travel, and I've sort of found an area where there's quite a lot of open water. Alright, so we are here in the sunken sea. And any opportunity to say this is my favourite area in the game, I will do. I feel, if any of you have played Mass Effect, I always feel like Commander Shepard when I say that. Actually, before we forget, I'm going to use the scanner. So what did that show us? Okay, it showed us something here, so we can go and explore that in a bit. Those were added after I played the game before, so I don't know what it's going to show us, but we can go and find out. I've got the wind organ, and I'm going to head down to my arena open water here. Crydra is up here, but they'll start moving back towards us. Hopefully we can fight them before our buffs run out, but if not, I can always use another one. So I guess with a game like this, it's completely up to you how much you want to use the skill system, you know, whether you make use of gardening and fishing and cooking to really get strong buffs for your character. I think it's very doable to beat this game on hardcore, on standard difficulty, without using too many buff foods, because they are really, really strong. I have been thinking about if I do complete the game, sort of without dying on this playthrough, if I will do another hardcore playthrough with hard mode on, so that, if I remember correctly, I think it times 1.5 for enemies' health, so they have 50% more health. And I think they either do double damage or 2.5 times damage, so the enemies hit really, really hard. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. So I'm just waiting for the Ice Titan to move a little bit closer, and I'll just test if it works here. Not quite close enough. So hopefully when the Titan gets around here, it will be in range. I also swapped my pet out. So previously we were using Judith, the Owlux pet, and because again I want to hit that maximum dodge chance, I've now swapped to the I forget what the name of this pet is. I think it's might be the Snuggly grade or something like that. But because I was talking about Pirates of the Caribbean with some friends, I named this pet Kira after Elizabeth Swan herself. Okay, there we go. So it's in range. Our buffs might run out halfway through the fight, but I think we should be okay. So here comes Crydra, the Ice Titan. So mechanics are fairly similar. They shoot a beam attack, they do a big AoE scream, which we need to either max range or hide behind a block for. And what you'll also see is that this Titan boss has the spirit of the previous Titan boss fighting with it. So you kind of get two enemies that are attacking you, but only one of them can be damaged. So you can see there's two of them. So the shaded one is the previous And same health-wise, they have like an armor bar, and then you can... once you've taken down their armor bar, you can deal damage to their health pool. I kind of wish it would zoom out a little bit more. You have to get quite close to... because the model's quite big. So if there are no blocks to hide behind, you can always just zoom away in your boat and max range it. And this is the next mechanic, so I didn't dodge that, but I mean I didn't avoid that attack, but the statistically 90% dodge meant that we didn't take any damage. That's just happened there as well. So you can destroy that little frost thing that spits out the frost triangles. I still haven't quite worked out how the beam speed works, because it always seems to travel really fast, and then when it gets close, it seems to slow down quite a bit. But there is the next boss done. So absorbing this one's soul, we get 10% armor, which is nice. We've got the next scanner. We've got ocean sapphires, which are really nice for upgrading our gear. The white hydra eye, which is great for the next summoning item. Octarine ore, which is pretty useless for us now. Soul medallion, which is amazing for a summoner build. Arcane monk stuff, which we don't need, running out of inventory room. And the hydra bone shield. This is amazing as a shield because it gives high health, high armor, and you get 5 health per second when you're below half health. So this can really help if you're using a shield. Yeah, we're really running out of slots, but we're about to eat all this food, so so what we're going to do now is head back to the portal, and then, you know, because these bosses are dying pretty fast, we can kill the third one, and then we'll have a go at the Atlantean worm as well. Oh, I kind of went the wrong way. Never mind. Let's take the scenic route around, and by scenic I mean blocks of beach material and some tentacle monsters. We did hit max range combat. Max range. Let me say that again. We hit max skill in range combat. So the only reason to kill enemies on our way to doing things is because that increases our vitality skill. And it would be nice to hit 100 vitality. Actually, I tell you what, save time. Let's go back to the arena. This is a random event that can happen. Remember the first time I experienced it, I was panicking, but it's pretty tame. We're going to head back to the arena, and we can fight the Atlantean worm now, because the worm is fought in the same biome. And to summon the worm, you use the bait pillar. It's not close enough, so let's... Is it travelling towards us or away from us? Yeah, it's travelling towards us, so we're going to just move back towards our arena. So the Atlantean worm boss, I think looks really cool. I think it was pretty scary the first time I saw it. And if you've watched the previous episodes, you might have seen it swimming around under the water. You can't interact with it until you summon it with the bait pillar. But I remember sort of seeing it underwater for the first time and finding it pretty awesome and scary. And the way this fight works is there will be vulnerable parts of the worm that we can damage, and I'm going to be trying the flintlock musket for this fight because it travels really fast. The velocity of the bullets, that is. And there will be sections of the worm I'm just going to quickly eat up. There'll be sections of the worm that we can damage, and there'll be sections that are invulnerable. And as you damage the worm, something happens, and I'll let you see it when it happens. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. So you can see that some of its body is not covered by the armor plating. But the musket does a massive amount of damage in single shot, so it's really nice for just moving around. And then, yeah, 12,000 damage in one hit is no joke. So it's, as you damage it, you start to break it up into more worms, and then they start flinging these orange fireballs, or energy balls. So having a fairly large arena is quite helpful for this one, because you can sometimes get trapped. And then once these sections of the worm get small enough, they die for good. And there we go. So here we go, we get the Atlantean worm heart, which when we eat it gives us permanent max health for one use. But it just stops you farming it and getting an insane health pool. The Atlantean worm ring is really nice for a melee lifesteal build, but we are not doing that. And the Suncaller staff is one of the worst items in the game, and I don't encourage... No, encourage is the wrong word. I don't recommend using it ever, unless you're doing some kind of meme build. So we're going to eat the worm heart. We now have max health of 1,410 with all our buffs, and a magic barrier of 70. So up next, we are going to kill the Fire Titan in the Desert of Beginnings. So we need to head back to one of the waypoints. Just checking to make sure I don't get lost again and stuck down some alleyway. There we go. Alright, so I did end up making another arena for this boss fight. I realised I could have just used the arena from the Sand Titan boss, but hey-ho, this one will be a nice place to fight. And just like the previous Titan bosses, it has the AoE Scream attack with the blocks falling down. It has the beam attack, and this boss has a dropping fireballs attack on the ground. I didn't pick up the immune to slime movement thing, so we might be quite slow, but I do have immune to burning from the fish that I've eaten, so that will be quite helpful. And the same mechanic happens where we won't be fighting one Titan, but three at the same time. Two of them will be invulnerable, and one of them will be the one that we have to fight. And I've just remembered that I didn't craft the summoning items, so I'm going to quickly go back. Hopefully the Titan will still be in range. So I'm going to craft the wind organ of fire. going to move back to the desert beginnings, and hopefully we can summon the boss before it moves too far away. I'm going to use the iron bow again just because I quite enjoy it. There we go. So our buffs are still active. The Fire Titan boss is going to be on its way, charging across the desert beginnings. Yeah, same tactics. Dodge the AoE blast attack, either max range or behind the blocks. Move out of the way of the fire beam attack. Dodge the fireballs when they come raining down, and destroy the boss's armor, and then chip away at its health. So I can hear it rumbling in the distance. Pyrdra, the Fire Titan. Here we go. So yeah, we've got the two spirits of the previous Titan bosses. So 3 beams. We're quite slow because we haven't got a movement speed increase from our gear. But the beams aren't too fast. If I was trying to do a no-hit playthrough on the bosses, I would definitely be trying to get higher movement speed. But with 90% dodge chance, we are pretty safe, I think. We want to make sure we get out of those though, because they hurt. Halfway there. Yeah, so we dodged, I think, 3 attacks there. So the 90% dodge chance is coming in strong. So if you're playing on standard difficulty like I am at the moment, I think the dodge build is really, really good. However, if you are playing on hard difficulty, where enemies do a massive amount of damage and have the potential to 1, sometimes 2-shot you, dodge build can actually be a bit of a danger because, you know, our dodge chance is 90%, which means we have a 10% chance of being hit. So that means that it's only a 1 in 100 chance to be hit twice in a row, and on hard difficulty, being hit twice in a row could be the end of the run. So I'll do some more theory crafting after the standard playthrough is finished, whether we complete it or we die. But if I end up doing a hard mode playthrough, I might not be doing a dodge build. I might go a different build. So having killed the Fire Titan, we now have the Soul of Pyrdra, which is 10% damage increase. So we now have the 6 Titan bosses all killed. Azios was our first one, which gives us a chance to spawn the Thunder Beams on melee critical hits, which doesn't do anything for us. Next we killed Omeroth, the Sea Titan, and that gives us a 3% chance on a ranged hit to spawn a Tornado, which is really, really boosting our damage a lot. Ratakar, the Sand Titan, was next, and that gives us a 5% chance to spawn one of those energy triangles, which is really strong because they hit hard. And you're just seeing we've killed the next 3. So Druidra gave us a 10% health increase, crydra gave us a 10% armor increase, and Pyrdra gave us a 10% damage increase. So pretty nice buffs across the board. I forgot to check what was in the chest actually. We got the figurine, another soul medallion, the Hydra bone helmet. We got some desert rubies, which is the sort of final crafting material, which is really nice. And we got another echo map. So what we're going to do now is we're going to explore the different things that have popped up on our map. I forgot to use that one, so I'll use that as well. Nice, so they're all pretty close together, so I'm going to travel to this waypoint, travel here, and then I don't know what these things show, so let's go and drop our gear off and then find out. So I think, if I remember correctly, we have 5 more bosses to go for the whole game. So we have... the next boss is the quote-unquote like final boss of the main story. And in fact, we have the core... almost said the name of the boss there. We have the message from the core here, so let's go and check that out. Thou hast achieved the seeming impossible. Only through collective spirit could such powers be harnessed. With these, we may at last restore what once has been. Come to us unto the place where we once set our roots in this world. Okay. There it is. So this is the arena for the final boss of the main story, and then there are a couple of extra bosses after that. We're going to do that in the next episode. In this episode, we're going to finish off by exploring these extra echoes. Before I do that, I'm just going to get rid of the gear that I don't need. Just going to dump this stuff in a chest for now, and I'll sort it out off camera. I'm going to reinforce my trusty iron bow, and then let's go and see what these echoes are about. This was the spot where I nearly died. I was travelling down my bridge, and this whole area wasn't mined out, and a random group of enemies from the desert kind of trundled their way through and cornered me, and yeah, it got pretty close to being the end of Martin. Good old Martin that we made all those... I think it's been a few months now since we started this playthrough. You can see on the mini-map kind of how crisscross my tunnels are for exploring this area. I believe there are solarite boulders, which is why I'm carrying around drills and electricity generators, but I haven't found one yet. So I'm pretty sorted for solarite though, because I've explored quite a large area and found some snails. So I'm just checking where I'm going. And having the legendary pickaxe is so nice because I can just keep chipping away. This is quite a cool random area I found. The sort of the ground slime in the shimmering area is quite useful because you can make a mob farm, and the mobs that spawn, I showed you them earlier, they're called mimites. There's one there. They drop the rare crafting materials, so having a spawn of them at the base is quite useful. Thank you, Mr. Snail. Ooh, sorry. Another one. So we're heading towards the Pyrrhic Echo. I think you can also get the rare crafting materials by destroying the environmental stuff here, so quite useful to do that as well. just to ignore those radiation crystals and just carry on through. This was an alien area that I discovered off camera last week, and it looks like these echoes are taking us to them. So I should hopefully be able to show you two more. But the way they work is you stand in the middle here, and there's a charging up circle, and whilst it charges up, it spawns enemies in these locations, and you have to stay within the ring to keep charging it up whilst fighting off the enemies. So I'm going to head up back to the waypoint and then carry on north to find the other echoes. So I'm heading towards these, the verdant echo and I think it's a gelid echo. I always find it funny in video games revisiting areas that you've been before after you've had quite a large gear upgrade and just breezing through it. But then being overconfident like that is what almost got me killed in the Shimmering Frontier, so... Funny that with hardcore games. Yeah, it was these enemies, like the assassins in the desert, that came in a group. In fact, what I'm going to do, because I think it's faster, is I'm going to travel there in my trusty speedboat. It's probably faster if we don't get stuck in between islands. Let's see, we're at 96 vitality, 85 mining, 85 running, and the rest of the skills we don't really care about. If you really did want to min-max, it's a good idea to get all of the skills to 100 because of this skill here, maxed out. 30% of all skill points added to max health, so if you wanted a bigger health pool, you could, you know, train up explosives or melee even if you're not using them for combat. But those are the worm enemies, which on hard difficulty are really scary because they just travel through walls. So this looks like it looks like an alien ruin, but it's going to be similar to the ones that we find at the echoes, I think. So I'm going to skip past this one. Fingers crossed we can. Nope. We can't get through there. So let's travel around. I might come back and explore this off camera. These areas are normally quite cool. Yeah, so we might have to go the long way around. It might have been quicker to have dug our way through the Shimmering Frontier, but I quite enjoyed the boat travelling, so not a problem. And then an excuse to hear more of the sunken sea music, which I really like. Alright, nearly there at the Verdant Echo. We keep... If you remember the... I think it was the aquatic boss fight where we were on the edge of two music areas and we kept dancing between the two of them. It's kind of what we've got here. We keep changing between. All right, I'm gonna dig my way there. We keep changing between the sunken sea music and the shimmering frontier music, but. Dodge, dodge, dodge. Yeah, those worm enemies creep me out. Yep, so this echo is taking us to an alien ruin. So expanding a little bit on the lore of this game, if you've been following the story, we started off by walking through a forest in some unknown place. Could have been Earth, could have been some similar planet, but we come across this core. This object that looks like the core that's in our base. We touch it and we get transported to this world, and then as we're exploring we seem to be discovering remnants of an ancient civilization. And, you know, we come across these old, sort of powerful alien facilities. So something was clearly here before. And yeah, this is... I haven't got any food buffs, but fingers crossed we should be okay. So you interact with it, it goes green, music changes, and it starts charging up. And as it charges up, enemies start spawning. And if you move out of it, it goes red and doesn't charge up. So you've got to try and stay in the green area. You can go outside of it for a little bit if you need to. You know, if you need to dodge something really scary. Nice crit there to one-shot it. So we got hit 3 times there, but we dodged all of them. So that's quite nice. So again, on hard mode, we could have died there, because getting hit. If it's getting a bit too intense, there's too many enemies, you can move out and stop the progression for a bit, and then come back in. There we go. So this is the item that summons the next NPC. I already collected one of these, so that NPC is already in the base. Ocean sapphires, really nice crafting material. Some medallion we don't need. The glass bead necklace is amazing if you're doing a, shockingly, glass cannon build. So it gives you plus 75% critical hit damage, which is huge, but it also gives you plus 30% damage taken. So that's not an item that I would recommend using on hardcore. And the Cosmos armor set is all about being immune to burning and having high mining damage, so it can be quite good. And then once you've beat in the event, then the immune sort of glass structures become brittle and you can destroy them. So we're going to head over to the Gelid Echo and do, I imagine, the same thing. And then we'll call it there for today's episode. Back in our trusty speedboat. Getting a little bit stuck by some of the islands, so we'll have to... Yeah, we're gonna have to dig our way through. If you wanted to, you could stay in the boat and just dig and then... or mine out the blocks and then dig up the ground, but it's probably quicker just to pick up the boat. Mine through. And we do want to try and get to 100 mining as well, because that would be quite nice. We're just hopping in and out. Let's try going around this time. I find the sound effects in this game so satisfying, like kind of the squelching, splatting, always reminds me of classical comic book, you know, wham, bang, kapow, kind of stuff. Yeah, here we go, we have found another alien facility. I'm going to use the musket because I quite like being able to one-shot the enemies. He's got a very slow fire rate, but I think it makes the final event easier if you can just one-shot the enemies that spawn. Alright, here we go. Just like that. It's like whack-a-mole. They pop up. Unless you miss, of course. Okay, that actually didn't help because... Okay, this weapon isn't working nearly as well as the iron bow, but let's carry on. See if we can do some... Not having the collateral damage effect from the ranger set as well is definitely making it harder as well. This is this is going much worse, but couple of procs on the tornadoes helped us out. Nice crit there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's use a health potion. Yeah, being confined to this small area gets can get pretty intense. But we also did it with no food buffs, which made it quite a bit more difficult. Alright, so we have the Obliteration Ray, which is a really cool melee weapon that's not a melee weapon. So you can see it has a ranged... So it counts as a melee weapon, but it can hit enemies quite far away. And the Obliteration Ray can also be crafted into one of the, if not the strongest item in the game, called Stormbringer. But that's a melee build, and we're not going to be doing that. My first character used that build, so... This is quite a funny potion as well, the Unusual Potion. It gives us plus 40% damage increase, but also plus 40% damage taken. So if you use this along with the Glass Bead Necklace, you can hit insanely hard, but you also die very, very fast. So if I was using those two on this event, I probably would have died. Alright, let's get out of here and back to the safety of the base. And that is where we're going to end today's episode. So we ended up doing 4 bosses, 4 in 1. We killed the next 3 Titan bosses, druidra, crydra and pyrdra. And we also defeated the Atlantean worm, which is the optional boss. So we've defeated all the bosses so far up till the last of the main story bosses, which is here with the mysterious symbol. So next episode we're going to take on the final boss of the main story, and then we are going to possibly take on the next boss after that, because there are 4 more bosses sort of the post endgame content. And yeah, some of those bosses are quite scary, so I'm going to make sure I upgrade my gear best I can. So I've pretty much got what I need: jungle emeralds, desert rubies, ocean sapphires, and a lot of solarite stuff. So as you can see, the ninja cow level 18. To get it to level 19, I need Pandorian bars, which we haven't got to yet. That's in the next area. But I can upgrade my stuff here. Again, each thing costs nearly 500 coins and a lot of solarite bars, so that's now level 18. So I haven't got enough jungle emeralds. So what I might do off camera this week is just go and farm the different Titan bosses again to get some more crafting materials. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the next episode when we take on the next few bosses. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.